Scott Crawford. I'm welcome to the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame 2026 inductee press conference. I'm the Director of Operations here at the Baseball Hall of Fame. Welcome to everyone on the call. So just to quickly introduce the Hall of Famers first. We have Jim Baba. Jim Baba was born in Saskatchewan in 1956 and passed away just last year in the fall. He started working for Baseball Canada in 1990 and coached and managed several national teams over many international competitions. In 2000, he became Baseball Canada's manager of baseball operations and transitioned to executive director until his retirement in 2021. During his time as executive director of Baseball Canada, he led Baseball Canada through many Olympic tournaments, including the Olympics and the World Baseball Classic cycles. He was also technical director for the WBSC over 20 times between 2002 and 2001, including helping look after the Olympics, Pan Am Games, and World Baseball Classic. I want to welcome Jim to the Hall of Fame and welcome to Jim's children, Mitch, Melanie, and Jamie today. Stubby Clapp, 11 years of professional baseball from 1996 to 2004. He played in over 1,000 games and was with the St. Louis Cardinals in 2001. Since 2019, Stubby has been the first base coach for the St. Louis Cardinals. He's played for Team Canada several times, including the World Youth Championship, the Pan Am Games, the Olympics, and WBC. He's also coached Canada several times, including the Pan Am Games and the World Baseball Classic. So welcome to the Hall of Fame, Stubby.
Thank you very much.
Kate Psota. Kate was born in Burlington, Ontario in 1986. Member of the women's national team from 2004 to 2018. She won 7 medals during her time with Canada, including silver at the 2015 Pan Am Games and silver in the WBSC Women's World Cup in 2008 and 2016. She won the women's national team MVP in 2009 and 2010, and she's been coaching with the women's national team since 2021 and helping bring home the bronze medal in 2024 with the women's team. Welcome to the Hall of Fame, Kate.
Thanks very much.
Paul Runge. Paul was born in St. Catharines, Ontario in 1940. He umpired over 3,000 Major League Baseball games between 1973 and 1997, including umpiring 9 championship season series, 4 World Series, and 3 All-Star games. He was the umpire at Charlie Lee's no-hitter behind home plate. He was at first base for Mike Scott's no-hitter, and he was at second base for the famous Joe Carter home run that all us Blue Jay fans know very well. He's a very accomplished member of a 3-generation umpire family in Major League Baseball. So welcome to the Hall of Fame, Paul.
Pleasure to be here.
Bill Stoneman. Bill was born in Oak Park, Illinois in 1944 and selected by the Montreal Expos in the 1968 expansion draft. Pitching 5 seasons for the Expos from 1969 to 1973. He won 51 games, pitched in 186 games and over 1,000 innings. Bill pitched 2 no-hitters with the Expos, including one in the first season in 1969 and again in 1972. After Bill's playing career, he rejoined the Expos organization in 1984, became VP of Operations, and later served as general manager and other top executive positions until 1999. Welcome to the Hall of Fame, Bill. Devon White. Devon White was born in Kingston, Jamaica in 1962. Played over 650 games with the Blue Jays, stealing 126 bases over his 5 seasons. Devon ranks top 10 all-time in Blue Jays categories, including stolen base percentage, stolen bases, and triples. In 1993, he made the greatest catch in postseason history up against the center field wall in Toronto. We all remember that catch throwing back into the infield. He won 5 Gold Gloves in 5 seasons with the Blue Jays, and currently he works as a special assistant to player development within the Blue Jay organization. So welcome to the Hall of Fame, Devon.
Thank you, guys.
So we're pleased to have Devon, Stubby, Kate, Bill, Paul, and the children of Jim Baba on the call today. We'll get started with Chris.
Hi, Devon. This is for Devon White. Congratulations on getting into the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame. Devon, I wanted to ask you, when you got traded to the Blue Jays in December of 1990, how much did you know about Toronto and Canada and the impact Pat Gillick and Cito Gaston had on your career in Toronto?
Okay, that's a long history here. The first time I got to Canada, I played in Edmonton, and I know some people here are from Alberta. And with the Angels, I played 2 years in Edmonton. But to answer your question, when I got traded in Toronto, I know there was a big community for Jamaicans. And as you know, I was born in Jamaica, and I have relatives in Toronto. So it was a very easy, way for me to come in and be comfortable.
What was your most memorable Jays moment?
Wow, there were so many of them. It's tough to say, I got here at the winter of 90, 91. We lost to Minnesota, and in 92, of course, we won it. 93, we won it. So, it's a long chain, you might say, of success and memory in Toronto. So I can't
Thank,
really put my finger on one.
thank you so much, Devon. Thank you. Congrats.
Thank you.
Richard Griffin, your turn.
Yeah, two questions for Bill Stoneman. Stoney, congratulations on getting into the Hall. When you were landing at Dorval Airport in 1969, you knew nothing about the country, I would assume. How has your perception and your appreciation of Canada and Canadian baseball evolved in those years? And what does this honor mean for you?
Well, when I first arrived in Dorval Airport, I mean, when I first found out that I was going to be going to play baseball in Canada, I didn't even know where Montreal was, and pulled out a map, found out where it was, and ended up getting up to Montreal, and we ended up having a parade. Uh, Prior to that 1969 season, and it was an interesting parade through the city of Montreal. And but getting up there and learning about Canadians, shoot, all the players on that team were really happy to be in Canada. They found out how good Canadians were as people, and enjoyed playing up there, and ended up living there for 30 years in total after marrying a French Canadian up there, and loved the 30 years that I lived up there.
The second part of your Expos career in Montreal was probably as important as the first in terms of being in the front office and helping build excellent teams through the mid 90s. In 1994, that team, that Expos team that was dominating baseball at the time, how would you compare that to when you went to Anaheim and went to the World Series with the '02 Angels?
Well, you know, the Expos, starting with John McHale and Jim Fanning, really taught me a lot on how to build a club. You build it from the ground up, and in 1994, Dan Duquette was the general manager, and he continued with that philosophy, put it together well, and if we'd had a full season, we were going to win everything. Unfortunately, the season ended early with the strike and lockout and all that stuff. But then what I learned from Fanning and McHale and Dan Duquette, I brought with me to California when the Angels hired me, and just followed the same procedure as building it from the ground up. And we were known back then as a team that most of the major league players were players who started out in the system and grew up in the system, and it really worked well.
The last part, a lot of people aren't aware that you spent your time between playing and being in the front office. You spent a lot of that time in Georgetown, Ontario, with your family, where you seem to adopt a lot of NHL referees and linesmen. How many people would you expect to be coming in June to your induction?
Well, golly, I really don't know how many people might be showing up, but I know that one of my neighbors was a referee at that point, Brian Lewis, and Brian ended up becoming the head of all the officiating in the NHL, and I still go to NHL games, although not in Canada now. They're down here in Anaheim with the Ducks, but still like the NHL. But in terms of the people that are going to show up in June, I really don't know. It's going to be fun to find out.
Thanks, Tony. Congratulations.
All right, thank you.
Danny Gallagher here. How are things going? Congratulations on your induction or your selection today. I'm wondering which no-hitter did you like the most, the first or the second?
Oh, you know, uh, they were they were both similar in that as we got towards the end of the game and I realized I had a no-hitter going, you would think that you'd start to get a little bit nervous, but that wasn't what happened with me. It was you got a lot more focused. I was a lot more focused. It was fun to finally do one in Canada, and my wife was at the game, and I had a couple of younger brothers who were also at the game. It was pretty interesting that they were able to be there for that particular game. But they had come in from California and were there. Neither of those two games was what I would think was my best game ever, but both of them were my luckiest games ever.
Now, you general manager for about a year in the 80s. Was there any particular move, a trade, or free agent move that you really liked while you were the general manager?
Not really. To me, it was all about scouting players and developing players and making them good major leaguers. So the moves, I really didn't do a lot of trading or any of that. And I wasn't general manager very long in Montreal. The two times that I had to step in and do it in Montreal, I really didn't stay as general manager for very long. It was more a temporary move. But it was to me, it was about developing people from the ground up and seeing good young players become great major league players.
Okay, thanks, Bill.
Thanks, Danny. Shai Davidi.
All right. Congratulations to everybody. Well deserved on all parts. Stubby, start off with you. I want to take you back to 99 Pan Am Games. You were part of a young group of Canadians who ended up having a lot of success with the national team and in the big leagues over an extended period of time. I'm wondering what are some of your core memories of that group of players at that time? And as you're kind of looking forward to the World Baseball Classic this spring, with a new group of players, maybe any parallels or commonalities you may see.
Yeah, no, 1999 was a fun time, obviously. I think that's when Baseball Canada really put their name on the stage, and that group of players was just special because of the culture we had. It was not only on the field, but it was off the field. If three or four guys went to eat, you had 15 guys at the same table eating. So we always traveled together, we ate together, we did everything together, and then and that turned into winning together on the field. So that was a special time then, and I think that's when we really started to put Baseball Canada back on the map.
And how do you see maybe some of those qualities that maybe what from those teams would you want to impart on the young group of players returning for the World Baseball Classic this spring?
Well, you know what? I think it's there already. I think that team in '99 kind of started a culture. And from '99 on, from all the teams that I played with, to even the teams that I was able to be a part of the coaching staff with, you can tell that there's a different culture when you put on Canada across your chest. And I'm guessing that it's going to be the same for this WBC. I mean, obviously, I know several of the guys from across the field from the Naylor brothers, and then watching Toro and Lopez play and all those guys. Obviously, Tyler O'Neill and get to meet Denzel Clark again at this past banquet. I mean, everybody seems to have the same mindset and the same idea of how to play this game. And when we all get together and we have the same jersey on, it's win or go home. It's a very strong culture.
How would you describe the features or the qualities of that culture, characteristics of that culture?
One word comes to mind is grit. Grit and never quit. It's a lot of fun to be a part of when you're in these tournaments. It's not like you have 162. Everybody understands that you get 5 games to do what you have to do and move on to the next rounds. And so everybody puts their head down, plays for each other, and we see what happens at the end.
Thanks, Stubby, and see you soon. Kate, congratulations to you as well. As somebody who's was in the beginnings of with Ashley and Nicole and Steph and some of the others there, building up the program, seeing some of the damage that was done to women's baseball with the pauses due to the pandemic and the COVID period, to where it is now. Where do you see sort of the opportunities and some of the challenges facing women's baseball right now?
I definitely think there's a lot of opportunities, more than challenges at this stage. It's been incredible to see the growth from when we started in 2004 till now, even coaching in 2024. The skill level has increased significantly, and the level of play in those tournaments. So I'm just really excited moving forward, and building our program in particular here in Canada, and hopefully getting a little bit of traction with this pro league that's going on in the States right now. I know there's a lot of excited people globally for that. A lot of my friends in Australia and the US are on board. So I'm just hoping we get a lot of attraction and move the game forward.
Do you see, I'd imagine that back when you were playing, you maybe didn't see professional opportunities in any sort of way, shape, and form for young women coming up in the game today. Do you see more of a horizon now, sort of an outlook where if you want to make a career of this is something that you can do in multiple different forms?
Yeah, I think it's definitely still early stages for playing. We'll have to see how that pans out. But watching Ash do her thing with the Jays right now, I think she's just, breaking down doors for other females behind them. Liz Ben, with the Mets and what she's doing there. So having women in those roles, and being visible in those roles is really going to help moving forward.
Great. Thanks.
Thanks, Shai. Daniel, your turn.
Oh, hi, Daniel Guerrero from the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. Congrats to all the inductees. My question's for Stubby. Just Stubby, can you just share what it's been like and what it's meant to you to represent Canada throughout your career on the playing and coaching side, and also just to receive this recognition in the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's a huge honor. It's a huge honor every time you get to put on the jersey. As a young kid, I fell in love with the Olympics, and I fell in love with the dream of playing for Baseball Canada. And I didn't even understand what Baseball Canada was when I was 12 years old. But so I fell in love with that idea, and was lucky enough to get opportunities along the way. And so being able to represent the country and kind of chase down a dream and being able to do that has been special. And then obviously getting something special like this has kind of been an icing on the cap. It's been nice.
And then just a quick follow-up. You mentioned being an honor to put on the jersey. I mean, I'm kind of curious with the hat and jersey combo for the Zoom call. Is that from a past tournament? Is kind of what was the thought of kind of making sure that was represented for you and you jumped on the
Absolutely.
call?
Baseball Canada has been everything for me. It's been a huge springboard for my career. If Baseball Canada wasn't around, I probably would have been working in the automotive industry. That's just the truth be known. Yeah, the jersey is from a 2008 qualifier. Just happened to, I didn't have any white ones. All the white ones are up on, they're all up on the wall somewhere. So pulled this one out of the closet this morning, and then the hat was left over from one of the last tournaments.
Cool. Thank you. And congrats to everyone.
Thank you, Daniel. Mike Wilner, your turn.
Thanks, Scott. Congratulations to all the inductees. It's a wonderful class this year. I have a question for the Babas, and I don't know whether Mitch or Melanie or both want to answer, but just first of all, what does it mean to you to have Jim get this recognition?
Going to be me answering. Thank you for your question. It honestly means a lot. My dad put his whole life into baseball. Even up into his last days, he was still contributing his thoughts and ideas to WBSC. So it really means a lot to have him honored in this way. We wish he could be here with us to see the honor. But it means the world to see the impact he's made on baseball through Canada and through the world as we receive messages after his passing. So it's really great to have him honored and see the impact of him.
And so many people who so many of us have talked to over the years since he got sick and since he passed, there's just been such an outpouring that talked more about who he was than what he did, and how everyone really loved and respected him, and the incredible baseball man that he was. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, thank you for saying that. It's he definitely took who he was at home and put it out into who he was in his workplace and in the baseball community. He was assertive, he was stubborn, he knew what he was talking about, he was confident and knowledgeable. But he cared really a whole lot about what he did and the sport of baseball and the people that he impacted and worked with and coached in small little leagues. And so he really took that love of baseball and his character and his integrity and pushed that out into what he did with work and tournaments and coaching and overseeing WBSC and things like that.
Thanks, Melanie. And Stubby, I see you smiling and nodding. Can you share some memories of Jim Baba?
Before this kind of got started, I was telling Mitch and Melanie that my first time I ever tried out for the men's national team, I was the last one cut off the team, and Babs was the one that gave me the news. And I've always razzed him about it, but it was probably the absolute best news that I could have got at that time. And he, like she said, he knew what he was talking about, and I still needed time to develop, and I just made it a mission after that I was gonna figure out how to get better to play for that man.
Thank you. And quick one for Devo. The Blue Jays announced this week that they're going to put up a statue to honor the 92 and 93 teams. And it looks like it's going to be Joe Carter, maybe jumping around after the walk-off home run. There's never been a statue of a Blue Jays player at the ballpark. What do you think of honoring Joe and your teams like that?
Oh, I got a chance to speak to him a couple of days ago, and I gave him a lot of crap, but you will see Jumping Joe there, and he's perfect for it. I'm glad that they are doing something like that for that serious team, and I'm looking forward to see him unveil that.
Thanks, and congrats again, everybody.
Thank you, Mike. Kevin, your turn.
Kevin Glue from the Canadian Baseball Network here. I have a question for Paul Runge. I just wondered, Paul, if you could tell us about your St. Catharines roots and how your family got there and time you spent in St. Catharines during your youth.
Yeah, thank you. It's interesting. I guess the video on me is not showing up, but it only seems natural. I mean, that's what umpires are supposed to do, go on the field and do a good job and not be seen. But anyway, I grew up in St. Catharines. My father was born in Buffalo, New York, but migrated to Canada and married my mother. And he was in the fire department in St. Catharines. So we lived there for a while. And I also grew up in Hamilton. We went back several times. My dad umpired in the major leagues for about 18 years. He worked down in Cuba. We went with him. He went to spring training in Florida. We went with him. We lived in New York. We went with him. In the off season, we always moved back to Canada. My mother was a member of 13 children, and she was the youngest. One of my uncles was in the mounted police. He lost his life crossing the ice after somebody. But I spent most of my life in San Diego, California.
So moved to San Diego, or how many years were you in St. Catharines for? Do you remember? Or
How many years was
were
I?
you in were you in St. Catharines?
I think I first left St. Catharines when I was 6 or 7. We then went back. I was going to go back up there. They had a tribute to my father in the fire department at one time, and baseball conflicted with that, so I didn't go back up. But I'm almost afraid to go back up there now. I must have so many relatives up there that I don't know their names. But I've always enjoyed Canada. I've always been a Canadian. My whole family, whenever they talk to somebody, introduces me as a Canadian. He's a Canadian. I don't know if that's a positive or a negative for a lot of people, but for me, it's a positive.
Well, it's a positive for us. Just one last question for the second base umpire when Joe Carter hit his World Series winning home run in 1993. Do you have any specific memories of that?
Well, when you work those games, you have a little meeting before, and sometimes you shake people up by saying, "You got a bad feeling about this game," or better concentrate. You don't want to get in trouble. I think we're all dialed in on watching that home run, and I think we all did see that home run. That is pretty spectacular. He's a great guy, a great ball player, and he should be paid a tribute.
All right. Thank you, Kevin. Joe, your turn.
Congratulations, echoing the sentiments of everybody around the table. It's a fantastic class. First off, we'll start with Devon, I guess. You mentioned Edmonton, so let's go back in time a little bit here. What are your memories and how bittersweet were they? Because I seem to remember a time where you almost didn't want to be there because you were thinking, hey, California is where you wanted to be.
Oh no, that was never the case. The thing I remember about Edmonton is those big mosquitoes. Yeah, so but I enjoy that my time there, and of course, I was fortunate that the guys ahead of me was the Reggie Jackson, the George Hendricks, and those guys, big names. So I spent some time in Edmonton to develop some more, which I needed. And when I did go up, everything seems a lot easier for me. So I really enjoy that. I don't know who had told you that I didn't like California. California, and it's kind of wore out my welcome, I think. And that's why, I kind of asked for a trade. And when I got traded to Toronto, I was ecstatic.
You mentioned being originally from Jamaica. What's it mean to you to be a Canadian Baseball Hall of Famer?
I've always enjoyed and said Canada is my second home. The city's so diverse, and I love being there, family there, and just being in the Hall of Fame now is this is a big circle came right together for me, and so ecstatic about it, and I'm very, very happy about it.
Fantastic. Quick questions for Melanie. As far as your dad's concerned, what was he most proud of, first off? And then secondly, what do you think he would say about a day like today?
Um, Proud of, I would say he is proud of just the advances of baseball and where it's going, where it's coming from. He's always had a big hand in like the politics side of things. And I know there's big changes in baseball and has been through his lifetime. So I'd say he's proud of where it's come from and where it's gotten to. Um, Sorry, can you repeat your second question? Oh, what was it like? What would he think of today? He would be very, very honored and proud to be inducted alongside the other inductees today. Stubby has been mentioned in our household through the years. I have a signed Stubby ball in my house. So he would be very, very proud to be going in alongside these other members.
One final one, actually, for Kate, actually, is what's that? The same kind of question is what's it mean to you to be in the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame, especially given the run of first seeing Ashley in and then Amanda last year and now yourself?
It's such an incredible honor, just to represent our team and the other women. I've had a lot of people reaching out, obviously, this morning. A lot of young players who aren't quite at that level yet. And that is inspiring to me, knowing that they're watching us, they want to be like us, and hopefully they are one day us. So I think that's been probably the coolest thing so far.
Fantastic. Again, congratulations, everybody. Thanks for all the answers.
Thank you, Joe. JP, your turn.
Thank you, Scott. Hi, everybody. My name is JP Antonacci with the Canadian Baseball Network. Melanie, question for you. And first of all, my condolences to you and to your family on the loss of your dad. You were speaking about his attributes a bit to Mike, and I wondered what about your dad made him a good coach? And did those attributes transfer, do you think, to him as an executive and also him as a father?
Thank you, and thank you for your sentiments. So, I would say he is very much just confident in who he is and what he represents. When he speaks, or he spoke, sorry, with a lot of assertiveness and confidence, and he was sure of what he was saying. He had experience and knowledge to back it up. And so when he comes at things, coaches from young age into coaching people that he leads, I think that it helps to have a leg that you can stand on, and you look up to someone like that, and that creates a great leader on the field and in executive positions. And that's definitely what he was like for us. I think another great thing for him growing up with him is he was that, but he was also fun and happy and loving and always joking. And so I would say confidence paired with being able to have fun and joke around and get things done, but also keep things lighthearted would be probably the two ways that he was successful.
And just were there any moments from his career on the field or off that he would return to often when he was kind of reflecting on baseball or reminiscing? Any stories he told a lot?
He really enjoyed his time being able to go to the Olympics and traveling different places. He always had a really fond memories of being around the world and the friends that he made, the contacts that he stayed in touch with, getting to go to Japan, Taiwan. Those were definitely big memories for him. And I would say he never forgot anyone that he met. So he would be able to tell you a story from someone's name that you pull from the back of his head. And so definitely the people were big for him.
Thanks, Melanie. And just one for Devon. Devon, congratulations. I think the Jays fans were thrilled to see you in Game 6 throw out the first pitch. And I wonder, how would you contrast the excitement in the city and among the fan base that you felt this past fall with that of the 90s when you were there as a player?
I think it was very well. First and foremost, I was just hoping I didn't bounce it.
Sailed it right in.
So that's the first thing. It brought back memories. Myself and my family was there in the box just watching the game, and it was unbelievable. The feeling that it brought back from it's such a different feeling when you played. You're really engaged in the game itself, but when you're standing as a fan and you're looking around and seeing thousands of people that's cheering for one team, one country, and the feeling that you got, it was just like, oh my God, these people was doing the same thing for us back in the 90s and even so the 80s for the guys before me. And it's, my youngest daughter, she wasn't born at the time and she got a chance to see this and she was like, you played with these people? And I'm like, yeah, it's just a different generation, but they're really supportive. And it was amazing for me as a fan now to just see, although I'm close to all the players, but it's still as a fan, looking at it as a fan, to see what was going on in the city was amazing.
Thanks, JP. Shai, your turn.
For anyone in the Baba family who wants to answer, I've heard lots of stories about about your dad over the years, and people have like a funny little quip he made or something that he did, or like Stubby getting cut by him, and you know holding that over his head, I guess, a little bit over the years. I'm just wondering, what are some of maybe if you have a funny story that you remember someone telling you about your dad, or just a funny little incident, something memorable that you've heard about your dad from someone in the baseball world?
That's a good question. It's definitely usually related to him having something mouthy to say to someone and it stuck with them. I can't think of anything like specific. Obviously, names are escaping me, but we've been written to a few times since his passing, and usually they have something to do with my dad will say something a little bit as beaking, as he would call it, beaking someone, and he gets away with it when it's well intended. So something related to that, I'd say.
Okay, great. And a question for Paul. You mentioned the little meeting you guys would occasionally have before big games, and remembering a little bit about Game 6 in 1993. Just from an umpire's vantage point, what is it like calling, working a big game when you know that the magnitude, the order, the importance of the events are so substantial?
Well, it's pretty intense. I can name 3 or 4 umpires that were very good umpires, very good officials, who had that one play that lasted the rest of their life. And I think of Larry Barnett in Boston, made the correct call, but was rated as wrong. Don Denkinger in Kansas, he umpired and made a play at first base. In St. Louis, that they maintained costing the game. And both of those people had to move out of their houses in the winter. It can get pretty intense, and we're well aware of that. So there is a certain degree of pressure. I was very fortunate. I had some good games in the World Series, but there's a lot more pressure than that. A lot more people watch.
Thank you. And one for Devo. Devo, you've worked in player development for a long time now. Just what are some of the things from your career that you apply when you're working with young players coming up in the game now?
Well, I'm just thinking about Mr. Runge, what he just said. As a player, we don't think about that aspect. So a lot of respect go to that. We don't think about that respect that when he goes home, threats and stuff like that. We always look at players, but going back to so I appreciate hearing things like that. Now, as far as going back to the players, um, is preparation. And I see Katie spoke about Ashley, which I helped a lot in with the organization. And it's about preparation, discipline, and worth ethics. We always talk about if I ask you to be out on the field at 9 o'clock, you know, 9:59, I mean 8:45 is late to me. So I try to emulate them being that person, to be on time, prepare yourself for the game. When you practice, you're supposed to practice harder than when you play the game. And those are the things that made me successful. Every day I was shagging fly balls, regardless if I was a Gold Glove winner or not. I did it, and those athletes, you have to basically try to instill in younger players because they will take advantage of you if you don't push them.
All right. Thanks, and congrats to everyone again.
Thank you, Shai. Richard, take it away.
Thanks, Scott. One question for Devo and one for Bill Stoneman. Devo, in terms of sports statues, 1 is the loneliest number. If they were going to ever add a second and third statue, what moments do you think would be appropriate from your career? I mean, one of them, obviously, if they could do a wall with you pasted against it, making that catch. I can think of Robbie's arms in the air, home run against Dennis Eckersley. Are there any moments you think would be statue worthy?
Well, of course, the World Series catch, everyone has seen it, but I think the catch that I made that I was really, it surprised myself too, was in Baltimore when I leaped over the fence and brought that ball back, and, my waist was over the fence. So I think that was the moment for me that would be statue worthy.
And I mean, there's so many moments when you were there, and you talked briefly about it. And the first time, there's even Sprague's home run against Reardon, all sorts of moments. Do any particularly stand out from the World Series years for you?
No, I think, I give you guys a little insight. Those, 3 years that we were very successful from 91 to 93 with the Toronto Blue Jays is that we held each other accountable. It doesn't matter who you were, if you were Alomar, if you was Carter, if, when Winfield joined us, when Ricky Anderson joined us, they were accountable if they didn't do what they were supposed to, because they, especially, I know they're Hall of Famer with Anderson and Winfield, but they came over to be winners, and that's how we played the game, to win. And they respect that. And to this point, to this day, I respect Dave Winfield so much, because as a young player, I played with him, and the wisdom he gave me. And it was funny that I was giving him back some of it. We won. So I think that's the biggest thing. The biggest thing as far as the winning atmosphere. I don't know if that answers your question, but that's the guys we were in the clubhouse, the chemistry. As Stubby was saying, you got to have that good chemistry in the clubhouse.
You always answer, Devo. Thank you. Stoney, I got one for you. I remember walking into your office in 93 or 94, and you pulled out of a drawer a blueprint for a new stadium downtown. Just like 30 to 35,000 seats. It was ready to go. And then the strike hit, and then there was no government funding. And then, do you think that a World Series win in a new stadium would have saved the franchise?
Well, shoot, a World Series win in a Little League stadium would save the franchise. It wouldn't have mattered. That's what it's all about. And that's why John McHale kept talking about marketing, and marketing in baseball is what's on the field. And, it would have been great to get into the World Series. It's too bad we weren't able to make it through to 94, but get that season done and win everything, because that was, for me, that was going to be uh, a World Series team for sure, and probably a World Series winner. And maybe the best team that I've ever been involved with was that 94 team in Montreal. But with a new stadium and all that, obviously baseball would still be in Montreal then if that all happened.
Thanks, Stoney, and congratulations to all the inductees.
Thanks, Richard. Wilson, your turn.
Hi there. Congratulations to all the inductees. It's Ian Wilson with Alberta Dugout Stories here. Question for Stubby about your time in Edmonton, playing indie ball with the Cracker Cats. And I believe that in your second year in Edmonton, you were a hitting coach, a player playing coach. And I think that was your first taste of coaching and managerial duties. Just wondering if you can reflect on A, your time in Edmonton, and B, just kind of getting into coaching there.
Yeah, no, my time in Edmonton was awesome. I loved it. We had 2 good years. A lot of fun there. We didn't win a whole lot of baseball games, but we had a lot of fun. And then that second year, kind of getting that coaching tag, put on you, and that responsibility was a lot of fun for me, being able to, share with the younger guys and stuff like that. But it was also like, you look in the mirror, it was the writing on the wall. It was time to flip the page. So for me, it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed getting that responsibility in a lesser, I guess, a lesser atmosphere where it wasn't everything on me, because I still had to play. So it was fun, and I enjoyed that transition.
And then thank you and congratulations. Follow-up question for Devo. I don't know if you'll remember this or not, but in 1994, the Toronto Blue Jays had an exhibition game in Medicine Hat at Athletic Park for the rookie level affiliate in Medicine Hat against the NBI Blues. I'm wondering if you have any memories of that event.
Not at all. It probably was cold too. Not at all.
Okay, thank you, and congrats.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ian. Chris, your turn.
Chris Palmer here, CDP Media Productions out of Guelph. I have two questions, one for Bill Stoneman and one for Devon White. Bill, your first no-hitter against the Philadelphia Phillies, 1969 at Connie Mack Stadium. Who was the toughest Philly hitter that day to get out of the lineup?
Oh, golly, they were all tough. You know, the Phillies had a pretty good ball club, and the stadium was a small stadium. So to be lucky enough to get guys out, I mean, I don't know who the toughest hitter was. I really don't remember anybody that I would say was the toughest guy. It was all about when the hitter gets into the batter's box, it's your job as the pitcher to get that hitter out. And so that's what I was focused on, and trying to throw the pitches where it's supposed to throw them, that sort of stuff. But I mean, the Phillies they had some good hitters, but I wouldn't want to name any one particular one as being the toughest guy or the number one guy.
Thanks, Bill. And I just have one question for Devon. Devon, thoughts on the Buffalo Bisons organization and Casey Candell? And also, when you played, Devon, how did you like playing at the old Taggart Stadium where center field was 440 feet?
Okay, which stadium was that?
Taggart Stadium in Detroit, where it was 440.
Okay, Casey Candell, character. And I think Stubby's laughing, but I didn't get the chance to play against him. And I'm not sure, Bill, if he was playing for Montreal at the time when you were there.
Well, he was there for a little bit, but not when I was playing.
Okay. No, but he's a character, and I think he keeps the guys loose in Buffalo, and that's a good thing to have because we have guys that are up and down, and it's you don't want to say it this way, but they could be cancerous to the younger players, and he has to keep them in intact, you might say. So on that behalf, I think we're doing a good job of having him there to get these players ready to get to the big leagues. Tiger Stadium, enjoyed it because I was cocky enough to say no one is going to hit it over my head, even if I, play shallow. So we're talking, if I remember right, it was 440 feet.
The dead
There's not too
center.
many people going to hit the ball to center field 440 feet. So I enjoy playing there, but going to the corners, those chain link fence, no, those are not my friend.
And one final quick question. Lou Whitaker, is he a Hall of Famer to you or not from playing against him?
Oh, I mean, if Trammell get in, I think Lou should get in. With his numbers, I think, I'm not so much a numbers guy. I just looked at the player he was, and when he comes to the plate, he's a guy that you have to back up or be aware that he can hurt you. And I'm going by that, and I think definitely he should be a Hall of Famer.
Thank you so much, Devon, and congratulations to the class of 2026.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Kevin Glue, your turn.
A couple more questions for Paul Runge. I wanted to ask you, going into the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame with another Canadian, I know he was in the American League at the time, but Jim McKean. Any memories of Jim McKean, if you had a friendship with him or any?
Oh, without a doubt, we were friends. I mean, we were Canadians and we were friends. McKeon's a nice guy, hell of a guy, and yeah, we absolutely had our relationship. We had our meetings, our union meetings. We talked a lot about being Canadians.
That's great. That's great. And the other thing that I find fascinating is generations of Rungies that were umpires in the big leagues. And I was doing some fourth. Josh is in I get your grandson leagues umpiring right now. I just wondered, I guess, does he ask you for advice? And how close are we to generation of Runge umpires?
Well, when he told me he was interested in it, I told him exactly what my father told me, that umpiring is at its best is not that good. It's like the only thing that you have to do is to go on the field and be perfect when you start and continue to improve. But he went ahead and he went to the school, and he was umpiring the last 2 or 3 years. So he's happy with it. So that's what really counts.
That's great. Well, thank you. Just one quick last question for Kate. I know you've got such an incredible 7 medals. If there's one or two of those tournaments that stand out the most to you as a career highlight.
Probably the 2015 Pan Am Games. That was the first time that we were able to go to a multi-sport. So I was talking to Mike Wilner before, and I mean, our eyes were like saucers in that, the whole experience. We were just taking everything in. It was a fun tournament. And 2016, our silver medal there, that was just such a fun group that we had. Everyone really bought into the team philosophy and what Stubby talked about earlier. A hallmark of Canadian baseball is grit. Like with our team, you have a lot of multi-sport athletes. So we have a lot of like high-level hockey players, and you put them in a baseball uniform, and it's a lot of fun to watch, right? And talking to opponents now, they said your team was just so frustrating to play against because you were gritty and you never gave up. But that 2016 tournament, that silver medal was a special one.
Thank you. Congratulations, everyone.
Thanks, Kevin. Mike Wilner.
Thanks, Scott. And I have a question for Kate as well. And I know we were talking, you talked about in a medal winning game looking for Ashley Stevenson across the field and hugging her. But can you tell us about some of, maybe your biggest hits, your biggest on-field moments as an offensive player?
Yeah. In that 2016 one, I mean, it wasn't really that great of a hit, but in our semifinal game against Chinese Taipei, I drove a ball down the left field line and scored a runner from third, and that gave us, I think, the tying run at that stage. So that was a big one that stood out. Defensively, that was a fun tournament. Like there's a whole video clip on us, and they were calling us the Great Wall of Canada because we just had these highlight reel defensive plays, and I had a big one at first, and that was great. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, those two in particular.
How much do you think that the women's game evolved from when you started on the national team to your last game?
It's growing so much, and I think it's just the amount of resources and opportunities that there are now, access to coaches, to facilities, to technology, has really helped us a lot. Just, with the strength, speed, power of the athletes that we're getting now, it's great, and it's really translating into our game.
Thanks, and congrats again to everybody.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for the great questions and the inductees for the great answers. We got about 4 minutes left. If there's any last questions, this is your last chance to ask one. If not, we'll wrap it up. So are there any last questions for any of the 2026 Hall of Famers? Okay. All right then. Well, that is great. I appreciate everyone being on the call today, and congratulations to our 6 new Hall of Famers. It's fantastic. To Jim's children, Melanie, Mitch, and Jamie, great to have you on the call, and we're so happy to honor your father. Of course, to Kate and Stubby and Bill and Paul and Devon, we can't wait to honor you as well. On June 20th is our induction ceremony, so we look forward to seeing everyone in St. Mary's, and and we'll have a lot of exciting news and things going on for the next few months to get ready for the big weekend. So thank you very much for your time, everyone. Much appreciated, and congratulations again, and we'll all talk soon.
Thank you so much, Scott. Thank you.
Congrats, everyone.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Scott. Congrats to everybody.
Thanks a lot, Scott. Appreciate it.